Morning, everyone. Hello and happy Thursday from the demo bar. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to pull this up on my iPad because we're going to do a demo, which means the camera is going to be turned down so I can't see the screen. Perfect. There we go. Awesome. Okay, there. I can see the screen and we're all good. So for those of you who are in our inspiration group, you saw a couple of cards that I posted last night. I actually had a chance to do a demo, or sorry, a couple of cards, an idea that I had in my head for a couple of weeks and just didn't have a chance to sit down and do. Sorry, I'm just making sure that my glue press is running right before I start this. Okay, there we go. So I made these cards yesterday afternoon and I took pictures. I went outside and took pictures just so you could actually see the gorgeousness. But even on screen, they're way more gorgeous in person. So I made this one. This is the Crafters Companion Create a Card Dragonfly die set. And then this one is the Crafters Companion Lady Butterfly Create a Card die set. And I also use some of the Art Glitter fantasy film, which is fantastic. And a better press plate, of course. I can't not use a better press plate on any of my projects. So, but before we start, I wanted to remind you of a couple of things. It's Thursday. That means it's Cardstock Your Stash Day. Our regular 12 by 12 colored cardstock from Basil and American Crafts is regular $1.10 per sheet. But on Cardstock Your Stash, good morning, Gloria. On Cardstock Your Stash Day, every Thursday, you can get 10 sheets for $8.50. So that works out to be 85 cents a sheet. So if you're shopping online, you have to have a minimum of 10 sheets of cardstock in your cart before you see the deal. And it goes up to 100 sheets of cardstock. Wanted to remind you of that. Also wanted to remind you that it's day 2 of our Dynamic Duo demo deal. The Dynamic Duo of Heather and Nancy went live yesterday, and they talked all about adding you and your experiences into an All About You album, which I think is fantastic. Nancy's is amazing. She tends to, or she has gone back. She's like recording things from her teenage years or her childhood years, her favorite movies, TV shows, books, all of those things, which I think is fantastic. So the Dynamic Duo demo deal, 25% off snap binders and coordinating pocket pages. 25% off those. That does exclude the new release of the Say Cheese Magic and the 49 and Market Big Picture album kits, Create-an album kits, mixed up album kits, Foundation, Memory Keeper, and all the coordinating book pages. And Brianna, we added the Vicki Boutin albums into that as well?
Yes, and we also added the Vicki Boutin album page protectors.
Okay, so we also added, which isn't on here, the Vicki Boutin albums and the Vicki Boutin album refill pages. Those are also 25% off. That deal goes until 11:59 p.m. tonight online and 6 p.m. tonight here in store. Okay, fantastic. So that's really all I had to tell you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tip my camera down. So if movement makes you feel ill, you might want to just hang on a moment while I tip my camera and get everything into place. I'm going to actually lower the camera a little bit because it doesn't need to be up at eye level anymore. How's that? Does that look all right? That looks okay, right? You can see lots of things. Oops, move that out of the way. Let's move that over here before I... Okay, so again, let me bring in those samples that I made yesterday and shared in the inspiration group. So you can see those there. What are you doing?
I'm just getting the names so I can pull them up.
Oh, okay. So these are the 2 I use. Now there's actually 4 dies in the collection. So the 2 that I use, here's this one, and they are Crafters Companion Dainty Dragonfly. Now these are larger. These are not A2 size cards. So this is actually 6 by 4 and 4 3/4. is the size of this. So it's not your standard A2 size card, but oh my gosh, they are stunning. So Dainty Dragonfly, and each die set is 2 because you get your main piece here with your dragonfly, and then you also get the frame. So that is one that I use there. Slide that back in for a moment. And then the other one I use, this one is called Lady Butterfly, and it's also a 2-piece die set. And just like the other one, you've got your main piece, your butterfly here, and then you also have the frame for it as well. Hi, Rhonda. How you doing? Okay, I'm going to slip that back in there. Now, there are 2 others, 2 that I didn't use. We've got Sweet Bumblebee. And can you imagine doing those just in the pearl fantasy film? How gorgeous that would be. So we have this one. And the other one is another butterfly one. This is called Admiral Butterfly. And I think this one would look absolutely stunning as well. Okay, perfect. So I did some pre-work already. Let me bring those in. So I used the frame to cut out the backgrounds for my card. So I have those here. I've already inked them. So the butterfly is going to go on this one. If you're wondering what ink I used here, this one is Picked Raspberry. This one that I used here, this one is actually Wild Honey. I used Wild Honey yesterday. So Wild Honey. And then this one is Picked Raspberry. And then on this one, I used Peacock Feathers. Oops, Peacock Feathers. And I also used the same one, Peacock Feathers, on this one as well. So I did that ahead of time because I didn't need you sitting here watching me die cut and poke all the things out. But I did that ahead of time, so I've got those ready. What I really wanted to share with you is how I got the glitter, the fantasy film to work here, because there is no shape die that will cut this out. So how did I do that to be able to get it to fit behind my shape? Well, I'm going to show you. It did take a little bit of thinking on my part, let me tell you. Let's do the butterfly first. So this one, I used the fantasy film Dandelion and Strawberry. So I used, oops, that one came out of its bag. I used Dandelion, which is this wonderful yellow color, absolutely gorgeous. This is what this one looks like, Dandelion. That's what it looks like on white, and that's what it looks like on black. So yeah, there you go. Dandelion, that's on white, and that's on black. And I also use Strawberry. So that's what Strawberry looks like on white cardstock, and that is what it looks like on black cardstock. There you go. So you can see those. Now, I've decided I am actually going to do, I'm not going to do Strawberry and Dandelion. I'm actually going to do Watermelon and Dandelion this time. Now, you don't have to use 2 colors. I just like mixing them and melding them together to get another one. So what I'm going to do, and what I did ahead of time, is I did pull this in. And I did kind of eyeball how much I needed. Now this is just wide enough, which is perfect. So I'm going to just take my scissors and I am going to give that a cut right there. So that's Dandelion. I can see your comments, so if you have any questions, just let me know while I'm doing this. So that is Dandelion. I'm going to slip that back in there. And then I'm also going to get a piece of the Watermelon. That is so gorgeous. Okay, let me cut that. And put that back in there. There we go. So, move that out of the way. Now, these are heat reactive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these 2 together, like so, and then I'm going to grab my heat tool. Going to add some heat. So the heat will seal these 2 together. Now at home, I've got my Wagner heat tool and it is like high power. I actually recommend using the Ranger one because my Wagner is really powerful, and it can, if I'm not paying attention or if I get too close, it will actually melt the fantasy film. So I do recommend the Ranger one, or one where you've got 2 heat settings, because it does need heat, but it doesn't need like heat enough to melt embossing powder. Okay, so I'm just flipping it over. And what I'm doing is I'm heating it, but I'm also just giving it a press. I just want to make sure I don't get any lumps or bumps or air pockets. So I'm just coming along and just sealing those 2 together. Oh, see what I did there? I accidentally lifted it. There we go. Now, it does take a little bit of patience. I'm not known for my patience, but I know how gorgeous it's going to be, so I am going to just take my time, make sure everything is all good and sealed. So always keep your heat tool moving because you don't want one area to get too hot and start to melt. And I am working on a heat-safe surface, so I'm not worried about my mat melting or... Okay, let me take a peek there. We are getting there. I just need to melt just the edges. Now, like I said, you don't need to do 2 colors. If you only wanted to do 1 and heat it, you could do that as well. I just like being able to add 2 because it just gives you a much deeper dimension of color. Okay, I think we're good. Now, the one good thing about my Wagner is it heats so fast. It just melts it together almost instantly as soon as I put the heat on it. This one does take a little bit longer, but you're less likely to melt it like I was doing yesterday at home. And by melting, I mean like it just shrivels right up. And I was like, oh, oops, a little bit too close. Should have been paying attention to what I was doing instead of watching Bridgerton. Okay, now we're getting there. Perfect. Perfect. It gets this kind of crunchy and it gets a little bit stiffer. That's how you kind of know it's done. But look at how gorgeous that is. Stunning. Okay, so how do I get this cut down to fit my butterfly? So I thought, let's try this. So I got out my universal plate system. I thought, let's emboss it. So if you use the universal plate system, I'm using platform A. I'm using platform B. And then we are going to grab my die. Here we go, because we're doing the butterfly. And I got a piece stuck in there. There. If you want to know what that sound was, I just dropped my die on the floor to pop out that little piece. Okay, so I'm going to lay that on there. I'm going to lay my fantasy film down. Now, I don't want any shifting. So I'm going to take some of the Best Ever Craft tape or whatever low-tack tape you have. And I just want to make sure this isn't going to shift. Because you can see I don't have a whole lot of wiggle room to work with. Okay, so I've got that on there. I'm going to take my embossing mat, lay it on top. I'm going to take the adapter plate D, put that on top, and then I'm going to put that through my die cutting machine. Now here I'm using the Sizzix. I'm using my Big Shot, Just gonna go back and forth, just a couple of times. Okay, so we'll take these off. And I'm going to peel that up. So you can see, I don't want to take this one side off. I can actually see it's already really embossed really pretty. Just going to take this piece of paper off. There we go. So there, now you can see that I've embossed. That is pretty in itself. I have embossed the glitter. Why do I keep calling it glitter? Embossed the fantasy film. Oh, so pretty. So now I'm just going to take some fussy cutting scissors, and I am going to follow around that embossed image. Now when I get up here to the head, if you look over here, there's nothing in behind the head, and there won't be any fantasy film showing behind the antenna and the head. So when I cut this, I'm actually going to come and cut it below the head. There's no point in doing all that fussy cutting. It's not going to show. So I'm just going to come along. And just cut along that embossed edge. Here we go. Now I'm down by the head. I know I don't need it, but I'm going to cut the other side. I'm going to come down there. Oops. Cut the wrong one. Cut down there. And then I'm just going to cut straight across because we don't need it. It's not going to show. No worries about that. Come down this side and then come around the bottom. And then up in here. Now, you do have to cut around the bottom of the body. What is that? I don't know. Thorax? I don't know what they call it. It's been a long time since I've been in biology. So I'm just going to come and cut around there. Oops. There we go. And then I'm going to come around this edge. And cut up to there. Let's get rid of our excess. I'm just going to move this out of the way right now. Okay, so there is my cut out embossed piece. So, oops, flip it over. There we go. So now that piece fits perfectly in there. Oh my word. So if I lay it down, you can actually see that it fits really well. How did I attach this to this? Well, this is what I did. I grabbed my glue, and instead of putting the glue on here, because it can be really hard to see, I actually glued it down. Oops. What the? Here we go. I don't know why my brain is like front and backwards and top and down. And okay, here we go. So make sure I put the glue on the right side. So I'm just putting glue on the body for right now. Does anyone have any questions? I keep looking at my thing. Okay, and then I am going to lay that down. Again, don't know why I put the glue on the head. I knew I cut it off. Save myself a whole lot of trouble. I'm just going to take a baby wipe and just wipe away that excess glue. And once I get that piece down, then I'm just going to kind of work along. Just going to add little bits of glue. I found it easier to do this is to work kind of systematically. I did the body so that it would hold on first, so you don't need to worry about it. And then I lifted up each wing and then just put little dots of glue along spaces on the wing, like so. just so I knew it was going to be tacked down at all those really important parts. Okay, so I'm going to lay that down. Just hold that on there for a moment, just until it starts to grab it. Thanks, Jennifer. I was actually really happy with how these turned out. I was absolutely thrilled. Okay, now I'm going to lift up this wing and do the same thing. So again, we're going to place little dots of glue, and I just realized I forgot to bring my dimensional foam. So just putting little dots of glue, because this layer is going to be sealed on the in between the two layers, so you don't have to worry about it too much. Okay, so I'm going to lay that down, place it in the correct spot, and let me just hold that until that starts to grab. Okay, and we're going to flip it over, and let me grab that, and we'll lay it on that background. Now on this one that I did, I actually put dimensional foam all the way around the outside and behind the body to pop it up. Now I'm just looking, I don't think I have, no, I don't have the right size here at the demo bar, so I won't actually finish it right now. I'm going to set that one aside. That one turned out so well. And let's do this one, because I used a different technique with the fantasy film for this one to get this look. Do you see how you can see greens and blues and purples and the pearl color? I'm going to show you what I did there, something completely different. Okay, so let's just set that aside for a moment. So what I used, where's my fantasy film? I used sheer opal, I believe. Where is my list? Sheer opal and blue Nile. Now I do believe we are out of the blue Nile. Are we out of blue Nile, Brianna? Maybe we're not. Let's use blue Nile. Blue Nile, and this time let's use Aurora. So I use sheer opal and blue Nile for this one, so these two colors. But this time I'm going to use Aurora and blue Nile. Now I'm going to do a different technique. Let me grab my die, because this one is actually a little bit bigger, because this one you actually need fantasy film for here. So I'm actually going to need one large piece to do this, and then I had a secondary piece to fit in. So I had to kind of glue them in there, but it actually worked out really well. Okay, so I'm going to need a little bit longer because I need to do those two pieces. So let's do that. And I'm going to need 2 sheets of this. Now you're probably thinking, 2? Why does she need 2? Actually, do you know what? Let's be wild. Let's use 3 different colors. Oh my word, what is she doing? Okay, so I'm going to cut 1 piece of Aurora. And I want 1 piece of sheer opal. Both the same. So this is going to be the top and the bottom of my sandwich. Now you're probably really lost. What is she talking about sandwiches? What does she mean? Okay, now I'm going to take, and I believe this is the one we're out of, I'm going to take a small piece of waterfall. And a smaller piece of, so I'm actually using 4 colors with this. And a similar size piece of blue Nile. All right, let me move these out of the way. Okay, so here's my base piece. Now I'm going to take These two pieces, bear with me, it is worth it. I'm going to take my larger scissors and I'm actually going to cut this into strips. Now, I did have half a thought of putting this through a paper shredder because I thought that would be really cool too. But we're just going to cut these into strips. They don't have to be the same. They can be some thicker, some thinner. And I am cutting these two colors together. They don't even have to be straight because at the end of the day, you're not even going to see these as separate pieces of fantasy film. There we go. Okay, so here I've got Aurora, and now I'm going to take these pieces. I'm going to just start laying them in like so, just all crisscrossy across one another. There we go. Let's do there. Now, do they have to be strips of paper? No, you could do like little squares, or this would be great to use up like little pieces of leftovers that you have. But I'm just taking these and I'm just going to lay them all in. And I don't care if they go out of the side. That's all going to be trimmed off anyways. So here we go. Sorry, keeping. I'm going to put all of them in here. There we go. Perfect. This is already starting to look very pretty. This seems a little big, so I'm just going to cut it in half, put one piece there. And let's do here and here. Okay, wonderful, great, love it. Okay, now I'm going to take this piece. This is the sheer opal. I'm going to lay it on top. We've made a sandwich. Okay. Is this the process you did with just the two colors? No, just the two colors. I just put them together, one against the other, and Jen just heated them. This is a completely different one. Okay, so I'm going to heat up my heat tool, and we are just going to, now this is going to take a little bit longer because you can see all the pieces I've got in there. So I'm actually going to start in the middle, work my way out. Might be a little bit hard to see on the screen, but you can actually see when it heats up. It almost gets this, I like to say that it almost looks like water. It just is this really cool look. Now when you're doing this, it's important not to move this because none of your pieces on the one side are sealed in. So if I was to start moving this and flipping it, all these pieces in there would start moving. Now, you can use this with an iron. If you've got a little craft iron, you can do the exact same thing with the craft iron. It would stay flatter, but I actually like the texture you get just by using a heat tool. Okay, I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to flip it over and we're going to heat the other side. think we're getting pretty close. Let me just concentrate on these long edges, make sure that those are heated and sealed. See if you can see here. See this one hanging out. If I take my heat tool to it, you can see what happens when I add my heat tool. It'll just start to shrink up. There it goes, shrinking, shrinking. Okay. That seems pretty good, but right in this area, I don't think I've added enough heat, so I'm just going to come in. Because once I emboss it, I don't want things to start falling out. So I do want to make sure that it has been heated enough and that everything is melted together. Okay, I think we're good. So there's my piece. So take a look at that, because the piece that I did, and you can see both sides, the piece that I did for this one looked exactly like this. It looked exactly like this. I know, you're probably thinking, how is that even possible? Trust me. Because when I looked at this, I'm like, oh, I don't know. Is that actually going to work out the way I think it is? Okay, so let me grab, hang on, need to grab out my dragonfly. Here we go. Now you can see this is a much bigger area than the butterfly. I have both sides, plus I have this. So what I did is I actually took this yesterday and I made sure that I had the largest piece that would fit across the wings. So the wings are covered. I'm going to open my... There we go. I'm going to cut that off, and then I am actually going to cut a smaller piece like so, and I'm going to emboss it at the same time. I'm going to slip that in there. Okay. There we go. Now, don't throw this away because this die cuts beautifully. I've actually used this behind words, and it looks amazing. So don't throw away any of your scraps. Like I said, they're great for adding a little dimension to other cards or behind a sentiment. Okay, so let me bring this in. So again, for embossing, we've got platform A, platform B. We're going to put our die down first. And now we're going to place... And I'm just going to cut this off because I don't want it to get caught in my big shot, so I'm just going to cut off these little things that are hanging off there. There we go. And now this little piece that's going to be for the tail, just going to stick that up in there. And I'm just going to take that down because, again, I do not want any shifting. Perfect. Okay, next we put our embossing pad, goes on top, and then adapter plate. And then we put it through our machine. And I go back and forth 2 or 3 times because I want to make sure that I'm going to get everything embossed really well. Do you need the low heat only? I used my Wagner at home, and my Wagner has one heat level, and that is melting glass. It gets crazy hot, so I have to be very careful with that one. But the Ranger tool I find works really well. I get less melting by accident. So there we go. If I hold that up, you can see that it is dies, or it's die cut in there, or embossed. Oh, words are so hard today. Okay, so I'm just going to peel this tape off carefully. There we go. Got my pieces. Now I can set these aside. Okay, gonna grab my fussy cutting scissors. And I'm actually gonna cut off, let me bring this in. There is a part of the die where this circle is at the top. So the tail, I'm actually gonna cut that off there. And then when I come over here, I'm actually going to cut one below that. So I'm actually going to have them overlapping.
We started like what, 10 days?
There we go.
Finally. Do it slowly, I guess. Thought it was slowly.
There we go.
It's kind of weird. We went fast and we fast. We like that either. Thanks.
Perfect. So there we've got that. Let me get rid of these. Okay, so I'm just going to place that over there so I don't lose it. And then we have got, I find one side of the die is a little bit easier to, or the die, the embossed. If I turn it on the debossed side, it's a little bit harder to see, but the embossed side is a lot easier. So now this one's a little bit different. If I bring this over, so you can see there is detail in the head, but none in the antenna. So I just need to come up and around the head, but I can cut off the antenna. I don't need those. And I don't need to stress out about fussy cutting out those antennas because the fantasy film will not be seen, but the head will be. Now there was one extra step I took with this one that I didn't with the butterfly, and I will tell you about that. There we go. This is that extra step I was telling you about. I actually cut this piece. And I will tell you why, but I can also use this as a guide. Now, I didn't have this cut. When I was cutting this out last night, I didn't have this. I actually ended up cutting this extra black piece out after I was already done assembling my card, and I'm going to tell you why I did that. There we go. I'm going to cut that one off. So I'm only going to have the body overlapping by one segment. There we go. Okay, move those. Oh shoot. Oh no, there it is. I thought I lost that little piece of body. Okay, so when I did this yesterday, and I went to put it on, so say I put it on Lexo, and then I put it on my card. I was like, it seems to have lost something. So I thought, well, what if I take another piece, another black piece that completely matches up, and I did this the exact same way. I embossed it just like I did with the glue. And then I put it on here. I actually glued it on this base. And then where's my tail? Here we go. Glue that on there. So again, took my glue. And I'm just going to do the body first. So let's lay that on there. Here's that extra piece. So let's lay that on there. The part that overlaps, I am going to put just a smidge of glue to help hold that down. Let me look up, do you need... Okay, hold that down. You can already see what a difference it makes when I backed it with the black. Now, I could have backed the butterfly with the black as well, but it didn't feel like it needed it as much as these colors did. Okay, so now if I come in, look at the difference that makes. Oh my word. Okay, so let's do it again. We're just going to put the glue in areas where we know it won't be seen. Now the dragonfly is a little bit easier because it's got a wider edge on the wings. Oh my word, look how gorgeous that is. Okay. Just checking this side. Missed putting a little bit of glue there to hold that tail down, so I'm just going to stick that there. So I'm just adding glue all the way around. And look at how gorgeous that is. Oops. Ah, slid off. Julia, there we go. Let's try that again. Wait on wait, never good. There we go. And just look how pretty that is. Oh my word. I still messed it up. But this is just a backer. It's not going to be seen. So I'm just going to trim that off. There are ways. We have our Jedi ways in crafting. There we go. How beautiful that is. Oh, let me glue this one down too. Now this one, I'm not putting glue in behind the wings, just because you'll see it. Now on my other ones, I did use dimensional foam. These ones I'm gluing straight down, but you could use dimensional foam if you want to give it a little bit more dimension. There we go. I am going to get my sentiments. Where did I put them? So the sentiments I used were from this set here, and this is the, oh, didn't realize Dandelion snuck in there. This is a Better Press set from Pink Fresh that we just got in. It's called Favorite Things. So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 press plates, and then there's a die set that also comes along with it. But look at how gorgeous these are. I just went and I did a whole bunch. So I have them in here and I already have them ready to grab. You are part of the beauty in this world. Oh, look how beautiful that would be. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, that's the same one. Thinking of You Every Day. Love it. Okay, so let's glue these on. There we go. And then this one, Thinking of You Every Day. That one goes right up there, really beautiful. There we go. Look at that. Didn't those turn out amazing? So here's were the original ones that I did yesterday. Stunning, gorgeous. There we go. So these are the ones that you saw posted in the inspiration group. And then these are the ones we just did now. I will pop these up on card backgrounds and they'll be up here on display here at the store. So there you go. So you can see this one does not have the black behind it, but I still love it. It's absolutely gorgeous. Could I put black behind it? Sure. But this is the one where I put the black behind, and look how it just make those wings just absolutely come alive. Lovely. Oh my gosh, I love it so, so much. So there you go. There's another demo using the Art Glitter Fantasy Film and using these dies from Crafter's Companion. These Create-A-Card dies, which are absolutely fantastic, I might add. There you go, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll take more pictures of these and I will post more in the inspiration group so you can have some close-up photos. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye.